Hi guys. Welcome to a yoga practice. Yoga is a science, and in any good science, the notion of exploration, experimentation, and observation is all important. So I invite you to take a comfortable seat on a mat, and your mat is going to be your laboratory. So I want you to find yourself a comfortable place to roll out a space to sit and find yourself comfortable and maybe find a little bit of peace. And so finding ease is going to be an experimentation of the breath. And the breath, it's three basic bits of the breath. We take a breath in. Maybe we hold the breath. And we let the breath out. So within that experience, what does it feel like? What can you observe as you take this breath in? Can you just let that breath stay inside of you? And what does it feel like to let that breath go? And we can experiment further by feeling maybe the bottom edge of our ribs and taking a breath in. And maybe those ribs feel like an expansion. What does it feel like when you hold that breath? Everything stays still for a moment. And then let that breath go. So as you experiment with this breath in, and a breath out. How does it make you feel? What are the observations of yourself as you do such a thing? And then we can start to look at the body as we sit. What does it feel like? And feelings, and yoga is about an ability to see things without necessarily using your eyes. And an ability to hear things, maybe not using your ears, but to hear things. And so what does it feel like? Can you see what it looks like of the imprint of you on the floor? Can you feel that sensation of what is touching the floor? And maybe that feeling of what is touching itself, what part of your body is touching other parts of your body. Just taking note of that. And don't forget about this breath in and a breath out. And so can you begin to feel your seat? And I encourage you to explore through movement what things feel like. So what of your bum on the floor, your feet on the floor. And then let's take it up from our seat. And can you feel your belly button? Can you imagine your belly button in there? And maybe can you pull your belly button in? And what does that feel like in your breath? This breath in. And this breath out. Your seat, your feet, your hands, your belly button, and maybe your shoulders. Can you lift your shoulders up and settle them down on your back body? And don't forget about that breath. And your seat, and your belly button, now your shoulders. And now, can you imagine your head on top of your shoulders? Can you pull your head away from your shoulders? Can you feel your seat and your belly button and your shoulders and pull your head tall? Beautiful. Find that breath and lift your arms up with that breath. Feel that breath. Lift the arms, lift the body. Take a deep breath in. Grow a little taller. Let that breath out. What does the weight of the arms feel like? Take a deep breath in, grow a little bit taller, and then the next breath out. Let's just fall over our legs and experiment with that breath some more. A deep breath in. And let that breath out. Can you soften? What does your seat feel like? What does your belly button feel like here? Can you feel your shoulders broad? Can you reach your head away from your shoulders? Take a deep breath in and let that breath out. One more deep breath in and just let it go. And then next breath in, we're going to lift and come back to our seat. Maybe take a quick peek. What feels like what? And then I'm going to balance on my bum and I'm going to switch the cross of my legs. I'm going to take a deep breath in. I'm going to reach. I'm going to let that breath out. I'm going to take a deep breath in and grow a little bit taller. And then I'm going to let that breath out and spill over my legs once more. So this breath shows us what we're feeling. It puts us in contact with that sense of our seat. Maybe shows us where our belly button is. Feeling a breath across our shoulder, a broadening of the shoulder. The shoulders get bigger. And then we reach our head away from our shoulders. And then my next breath in is going to bring me back to a seat. I'm going to take a quick peek. And then I'm going to put my feet, soles of my feet together. I'm going to experience this butterfly. So an experimentation, an exploration, a butterfly right here. And I don't even have to go anywhere. So I can flap this butterfly. I can pull my feet in. I can flap this butterfly. I can take a deep breath in. And I can settle again once more over my feet. Noticing a breath. Exploring the butterfly wings. A deep breath in. And a deep breath out. What feels like what here? Deep breath in. And a deep breath out. My next breath in brings me back to a seat. I'm going to take my hands, put them under my knees, and bring my knees in together. I'm going to squeeze myself into a rock. I'm going to take a deep breath in and see how small I can get in a rock. What does it feel like to be a stone? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to place my knees down and I'm going to look for a table. So a table has 4 legs. Both my arms are legs and my legs are legs. I wish to find my wrist under my shoulder and my hip and my knee. And I'm going to look for a table and I'm going to imagine that I can place a tray on my back and my back would support that tray. And this is a table. And a table's boring. I'm going to bring in a cat and a cow. I'm going to bring a cow. I lift my head. I take a breath. And that's my cow. And then I'm going to roll my shoulders. I'm going to drop my head down and I'm going to find my cat. And then I can wag the tail of this cat. I can shake the head of this cat. Look for a breath that lifts for a cow. Feel a moo if you wish to moo. And go find your cat and your cow. And if you notice, there's a roll in the back. There's a cow and my belly feels heavy. And there's a cat and my back lifts. A cow and a cat. And cows and cats are great, but my favorite is a dog. So I'm going to curl my toes under, push into my hands and push into my feet, and find myself in a dog. This is a downward facing dog. My head is down, and it's a downward facing dog. I can shake out my head. I can take my dog for a walk. My hands and my feet.
The idea here is I'm pushing the floor. My hands and my feet are pushing the floor, and my hips are lifting up tall in a downward facing dog. And from a downward facing dog, I'm going to walk my hands back and find myself in a forward fold. So this forward fold, I think of a waterfall. I notice my feet and I can play with my feet. I ground my feet and I lift up into my hips. And from the top of my hips, I feel the sensation of spilling forward. And so I'm playing with that sensation of a grounding and a gripping of the floor, a lifting through my body up into my hips, and then a spilling forward. And there's lots of different ways of playing here. I can shake myself like a rag doll. I can hold my opposite elbows. Again, yoga is a science, and go and explore. And the key of this science is the breath. Take a deep breath in and let that breath out. And from a forward fold, I'm going to find a flat back forward fold. I want to find that flat back that I found in my table. So I'm reaching my head forward as I reach my hips back. And from a flat back, I'm going to take a breath and spill forward once more. And then I want to grow up like something that grows. I'm going to put a bend in my knees. I'm going to grow up slowly. And then when I get to the top, I'm going to reach my arms and take that breath. And then I'm going to bring my hands down through center. And I'm going to explore my mountain. So a mountain pose. My feet are on the floor. My hips are opening. I feel this sensation of my hips opening. And then I take that, I pull my belly button. I notice my belly button and I pull on my belly button back into my body. I feel my shoulders lift and settle onto my back body. And then as if someone was pulling on the top of my head, I want to reach my head away from my shoulders and find your mountain. What does that feel like, this breath? A breath in and a breath out. And go ahead, find a tabletop again. So come to your mat and find that tabletop once more. Playing a cat and a cow. We can always come back to places that make us feel good. I love a cow and a cat. And go ahead, find that downward facing dog. Pedal out your dog. Play in your dog. And then I'm going to take my right foot and I'm going to float my right foot up. I'm going to bring my right foot up and over. This is a three-legged dog. So here I am in my downward facing dog and my right foot is floating up. And I'm playing with my right foot, experimenting, exploring the sensation of where my foot might be in space. Maybe I even take a peek and look for my foot back in space. And then I'm going to look at the space between my two hands, and I'm going to put my foot between my two hands. And this is a low lunge. And so my foot is down and my back foot is back. And then I'm going to place my back knee down. And then I'm going to play with my lizard pose. So this is another animal we get to explore with, a lizard. And so my back knee is down and my front knee is opening up, and I'm exploring this opening. I'm using this breath. And I'm looking to see if I could get a little lower in my lizard. And from a lizard, I hear he's got friends that are pigeons. I'm going to curl my back toes under and float my knee once more. And then I'm going to walk this right foot over to the other side of my mat. And we find ourselves in a pigeon pose. So my front leg is forward and bent, and my back foot is long and back, and I can play with some balance. Where's that back foot? Can I find that back foot? There's that back foot. And then I can let that foot go, and I can look to lengthen and lower into this pigeon. And I use this breath, the Ujjayi breath, to explore what feels like what. What are the sensations? What are the stretches? Can I find myself a little bit easier? And then from a pigeon, I'm going to place both my hands back under my shoulders and push myself back up. I'm going to curl my back toes under so I can float that back knee back up. And then I'm going to bring my front leg up and over and explore. This one is called frog. And since I just have half a leg, they call it a half frog. And what does it feel like? And so much of the practice of yoga is this play of settling. So we use this breath and we let the breath settle ourselves, settle our emotions, settle our feelings. But also, what does the body feel like? Are we gripping and holding anything? Can we find a sense of release here? Deep breath in and a breath out. And then I'm going to place my hands back under my shoulders. I'm going to curl that back toe under and I'm going to float up and bring that leg back. I play in a three-legged dog. I love to play with a three-legged dog. And then I'm going to find that four-legged dog again. I'm placing that back foot back. And I'm going to pedal out my dog and walk my dog a little. And then I'm going to look to that space once more, and my left foot comes up, and my left foot reaches, and my left foot stretches in that three-legged dog. And then I see that space, and I'm going to put my left foot in that space. And I play in this low lunge for a moment. What is the balance required in this low lunge? And then I'm going to place my back knee down. And I'm going to look in this lizard. What is this lizard creature? What do we explore here? How do we use the breath? And I explore this posture, this asana, that they call a lizard. What do things feel like? Can we explore the sensation? Can we listen to our bodies? Can we see spaces that maybe we can't visually see, but we feel them and we know them to be spaces in our body? And from a lizard, I'm going to curl that back toe under so I can float that knee back up, and I'm going to walk my left foot over to the right side of my mat and lower back down into this pigeon place. And so in this tall pigeon, I can play with some balance. Where's that foot? I can see that foot. No, now I can see that foot. And I can play this balance. And then I let that leg go, and I'm going to look for a long, low pigeon. And take a moment. Can you quiet? Can you settle? Can you find yourself at ease? One more deep breath in. And a breath out. Really nice. I'm going to place my hands back under my shoulders. I'm going to curl my back toes under so I can float that back knee. And then I'm going to float the foot up and over and settle into that half frog. Now on the other side. What feels like what? What can you see? And can you use your breath to more clearly see these spaces? Can you use your imagination? I'm going to place my hands back under my shoulders. I'm going to curl my back toes under, and I'm going to float once more and bring that leg back and play in that three-legged dog. What is that dog? Oh, go find that dog. And then from a three-legged dog, I find that four-legged dog. And then I'm going to walk my hands back to my feet once more and play in that forward fold. And find a flat back for my forward fold. And find a forward fold once more. Bend your knees and roll up like something that grows. Reach your arms and bring that back through center. Find a moment and explore your mountain. What does it feel like to stand like a mountain, to stand strong and still like a mountain? And any good mountain got plenty of trees on it, so let's find a tree pose. I'm going to stand well into one foot, and I'm going to play with that other foot. What can I do with that other foot and still maintain a balance on my standing leg? And then I'm going to take that foot and I can stay here with a kickstand. So unless I want a kickstand, I can stay low on the leg beneath my knee. My knee is here, so I'm below my knee, or I can come up above my knee. And I'm looking for a push and a push and a push and a push. And I look for a tree. And a tree can grow. And a tree can blossom. Beautiful. Come back down. Let that leg go. And then we'll play the other side. I'm going to stand well in my other foot. And I'm going to play with my one standing leg. Now it's my tree leg. And then I'm going to put my foot for tree pose. I'm going to push and push and push and push and gaze at nothing in particular. A soft focus of nothing in particular. And I'm pushing and I'm pushing and I'm growing my push. Beautiful. And come on down and let the leg go. Come find a seat and we can play. If I had lots of trees, I might have some wood, and with wood I could build a boat. And so let's play with a boat. I'm going to balance on my bum and I'm going to reach my feet. And so I'm holding on to my legs. I'm holding onto my legs and I'm letting my feet float. And maybe I can reach and I can feel energy through my heels and I can float my boat. Maybe I float my boat. Beautiful. And then bring the legs back in and give yourself a squeeze. And maybe we find some rock and roll. So I'm going to squeeze them in and find some rock and roll. And can we find a balance? Maybe you can balance on your bum. And maybe you can balance on your back. And play with a balance on your bum. And maybe a balance on your back. And if you find that balance on your back, let's play further with that balance on the back. And we'll play with something They're called a plow pose. So my legs are long and maybe they reach the floor behind me. And what does this feel like? I'm all squished in this space. But can I use my yoga and find some opening? Find a sense of ease. And from a plow, I can let my legs go and maybe find a shoulder stand. And then one back piece at a time, I'm going to lay that down and find myself in a shavasana. So never let them tell you you're too old to take a nap. And yogis are very good at nap time. Because what we can do with our bodies is notice our bodies. And as we notice our bodies, we are looking for a sense of ease. So I notice my big toe. And I notice my other big toe. And I notice all my toes. And I quiet all my toes. And I notice the tops of my feet and the bottoms of my feet and the heels of my feet. And I let my feet go. I can feel my shins, the tops of the bottoms of my legs. And I can feel my calves, the backs of the bottoms of my legs. And I can feel the tops of my knees and the backs of my knees. And the front of my thighs and the back of my thighs, and I can let all that go. I can feel my hips, and I can feel my hips softening into the mat. And I can feel my belly button, and I can soften my belly button to my back. And I can feel my shoulders, and I can lift my shoulders and settle my shoulders, and I can feel my shoulders and my arms and my elbows and my forearms and my fingers, and I can soften my fingers and soften my forearms and soften my shoulders. I notice my neck and my throat, and I can soften through my neck and throat. I notice my chin and my lips and my nose and my cheeks and my ears and my eyeballs in my head. And I can see a light inside of my head. And I know that I am a luminous being. And I can let all that go. And then I can wiggle my toes and wiggle my fingers. And I'm going to give myself a morning stretch. I'm going to reach my arms over my head and reach my toes away. And then I'm going to bring my knees into my belly. I'm going to find some rock and roll, some side to side, and then I'm going to let my rock and roll drop me to one side. And then I'm going to extend the top leg and come to a simple crisscross seat again. Let's take 3 breaths together. I'm going to take a breath in and let a breath go. Take a breath in and let our breath go. I'm going to place my palms together. Take a deep breath in. And I'll say, take my palms and lay my thumb knuckles at my forehead. I will bow to y'all and I will say namaste.